Good morning, Eagles fans. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. July 2nd, dog days of summer are moving right along. Just 21 days until our Philadelphia Eagles report to training camp. 22 days until their practice. We are going to have it all reported on right here on Birds 365 with John McMullen. Johnny Mac, how you doing this morning? A good Tuesday to you, sir.
Yeah, almost 4th of July. Everybody gearing up. That feels like the last leg, Xander, before you get to the countdown to training camp. And so I hope everybody has a good extended weekend this weekend before, and then we're pretty much off and running with the countdown.
Yeah, man. We are right around the corner, just so everybody does know. And then for anybody watching the replay, we will only have one more edition of Birds 365 this week. So we'll go through Wednesday, and then we will have off July 4th and July 5th, and then we will return on Monday on July 8th. So just one more show left on the week on Birds 365 this week. So Tuesday, Wednesday, we'll do this week, and then we'll have off Thursday and Friday. As Johnny Mac mentioned, I hope all of you guys have an amazing 4th of July. Have a great extended weekend. You get out in the sun, you grill. Johnny Mac, you got any grill plans this weekend for 4th of July?
Sorry, I popped on a little video there, but no, not yet. It depends. I'm a little under the weather, so
yeah,
hopefully, but nothing concrete yet, depending on how I'm feeling. The last thing you want to do is cook for people when you're sick. So
yeah.
So we'll see. To be determined.
Yeah, makes sense. Anyway, I hope everybody has a good 4th of July. As I mentioned, we'll have 2 more shows today. We have a good show planned. We're going to talk about some of the lists, man. Eagles seem to be getting, I don't know, maybe the league is not as high on this team as we are here in Philadelphia. I'll talk about that with Johnny Mac, see if he can knock some sense into us on that today. And then 8:20 this morning, we'll have Bill Colarulo, Big Bill, coming off their great discussion last week on Saquon Barkley, which was excellent. By the way, I went back and rewatched that whole segment. So that was good stuff from Johnny Mac and Big Bill. And then later on in hour number 2, we will talk some of these NFL lists, as I mentioned, and run them by Johnny Mac. And then we'll do defensive stats and think about who's going to have the biggest impact on defense this year. And we'll talk about some of that. So welcome in, everybody, this morning. Eduardo, James, Joe, Daz, what's going on? Cody, K, anybody I miss? CZ, I don't like missing anybody. They get upset with me, and I don't blame them. I'm giving everybody their credit. I want to get everybody that's here this morning for the live. Rashid, Sun Black, what's up, everybody? All you guys, Wolverine, appreciate all you guys being here. Johnny Mac, let's start real quick before I go to the Eagles list. I just want to get your perspective. I know it was maybe not a verified report, but just the drama in Dallas of they haven't signed CeeDee, they haven't signed Micah, they haven't signed Dak yet. You're starting to hear some rumblings that CeeDee wants his deal done. Again, I don't know if they were confirmed reports or not. A little bit of a sketchy source yesterday, but you did see it all over the place. Just your thoughts on that whole contract situation.
Well, I think I think it's sort of going the way we thought it was going to go, and Justin Jefferson was eventually going to reset the market. He did, and now everybody's trying to fall into place, and CeeDee Lamb certainly in that category. There are certain guys who typically, I always talk about contracts being the next guy gets paid. We saw it at quarterback with Trevor Lawrence. There are certain guys, and Jefferson's that receiver. Nobody's going to go over him, at least in the immediate future. CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase, those guys. But they're going to look to fit in right behind him in 32, 33. I forget what he got. I think he got 35. Somewhere in that range. And CeeDee certainly in that conversation, and that's obviously what he wants. I talked about the Cowboys all the time. It's hard to believe. You never know. We sit here and we follow the Eagles, and the Eagles tend to be proactive on these types of situations, but it takes 2 to tango, and CeeDee Lamb might be, as I advocated, if I were the agents of A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, I'd say, guys, relax. The money will be there. Wait for Justin to sign, and then rising tide lifts all boats.
Right.
That's what my recommendation would have been. And I guarantee that's what their agents' recommendations were. And, the Eagles have built this culture up to the point where guys want to be here and they're willing to take a little bit less, maybe to get that immediate security. And that's a good situation to be in. The Cowboys have gone about it a different way. They like to wait and wait and wait and wait. I don't know. You'd have to ask Jerry Jones. I mean, he's got a lot of money. To me, it doesn't make sense. If you could save some money, it doesn't matter how much money you have, you might as well. But he doesn't like to be proactive and he likes to wait. But ultimately, his history is he pays the players that he wants. And he pays a tax because of his inability to be proactive. But that generally is his history, and that's what I expect to happen with Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb, Micah Parsons. Certainly, interestingly, with Lamb and Parsons, I would say 100% each. Ultimately, he's going to pay him. It's just a matter of the wrangling, how you get there. Dak's a little bit different only because you really got to seriously think, very good quarterback, but is he worth what he's going to command? And that's a very difficult situation to be in.
Well,
You
yeah, because you got to wonder what's the other side.
Yeah,
You
the
know?
other side. Well, that's the point, which
I know.
enough people don't look at. It's
I
like
know.
it's easy to say move on, he's not worth it. But then you're just in screwed and quarterback purgatory. So, you're almost in that difficult position where it's, you know, you got to make, do you want to go with a young guy? Do you want to get in a position to draft a young guy and take all those startup costs? Or do you want to be a relevant playoff contender? And a lot of fans will joke and say the Cowboys aren't a relative playoff contender. Well, they are. I mean, they're in the playoffs every year. They're
Yeah.
disappointing, but so where do you want to be? Do you want to wait with that Andy Reid mentality? And, if you go back year after year after year, I'd say, one time things are going to fall in your direction. Or do you want to go in a different way? And, you know, I've been waiting for the college route. I've talked about that at the quarterback position. It's gotten so expensive. It's almost like college teams have to rebuild. It used to be every 4 years. Now it's every year because of the transfer portal. So, they're used to it. There's going to be churn at that position. And you go from quarterback to quarterback to quarterback. Maybe you get 2 years. If you're lucky, you get 3 years.
Yeah.
Occasionally, you'll get 4 years with a good quarterback. But if he's really good, he's going to leave for the NFL draft. So, best case scenario, you're turning it over every 4 years. That's a rookie contract in the NFL. Are you going to keep churning and turning it over until you find the guy? Or, it's a very good quarterback that you're going to have to pay like he's great.
Yeah, tough situation for Dallas. I know, obviously know how you feel about Micah Parsons, and you just kind of gave us your rundown of your thoughts on Dak Prescott. How do you evaluate CeeDee Lamb as a player? I mean, just like where he would rank in the like. Someone asked me, "Do you think he's on AJ Brown's level?"
He's right. He's right.
No.
He's right
I think
there.
he's one notch below AJ. I have AJ as a top 3 receiver in the NFL, right there with the best of them. When he turns it on, he can be the best on any given day. I don't quite see that with CeeDee. Maybe I'm being biased. You tell me. What do you think of CeeDee Lamb as a player?
Yeah, I think he's very good. It's funny. I remember having these discussions when the Eagles traded for AJ Brown. At that point, I would have said that CeeDee was better
Yeah,
than
right.
AJ Brown. Now, ever since AJ got here with a better supporting cast, I now would say AJ's better, but you're picking, very close. I mean, they're both in the conversation to be top 5 receivers in the NFL. They both might be in the top 5.
Yeah.
The only guys I would say right off the bat that are better, unquestionably, are Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase. That's it. And then you could start, and you could argue both 4, 5, 6. There's some other guys that belong in there as well. Um, It's a very deep position in the NFL. You see it every year now in the draft. The one thing you know you're going to have is good receivers, and because that's what happens now. I talked about, the off season 7-on-7. All the only people that get to practice are quarterbacks and receivers and defensive backs.
Yeah.
So they've become so skilled. Boy, 10, 15 years ago, it was rare you found a really finished route runner coming out of college. Now you got the Devontae Smiths of the world.
You know what cracks me up, Johnny Mac, when I think about the Dallas Cowboys? I told this story yesterday on the National Football Show. I have 3 beautiful sisters. I have a mother. My 2 sisters are still in the area, obviously, but they are not sports fans. I did not grow up where my sisters and my mom are sports fans. They are
Good
not.
for them.
A lot of women are sports fans today. It's cool. We have a bunch of them in the chat. I appreciate all of them. My sisters are not those people. Recently, they have begun this Netflix show, and it's all about the Dallas Cowboys
Cheerleaders?
Yeah, and now I was talking to them all this weekend, and they come up with, I want to go to a Dallas Cowboys game. And I'm like, what? And I'm like, it's funny because it really does encapsulate the Dallas fan, though. They get a lot of the casual fans that love the hoopla,
yeah,
the jerseys and the outfits and all the things that Jerry does, and the big, beautiful stadium. My mom's like, look at their stadium. It's so sick. I'm like,
their stadium is
man, that's
beautiful.
so true that really does embody the Dallas Cowboy fan. And I just thought that was a very funny story and a very funny glimpse into, where you get a lot of those Cowboys fans. And that's what Jerry's focused on more than I think he is about the player contracts. He wants to make that team worth $15 billion more than he wants to win a Super Bowl. At least that's what it seems to me. But we'll wait. We'll real quick. What are your receiver breakdown? I think I would have Jefferson. I would have Tyreek Hill, and then I would have AJ Brown. And then after that,
I go Jefferson, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, and then
I think I would take AJ right over Jamar, but it's close. It's a pick 'em.
Yeah, and then I put AJ in the conversation, CeeDee's in the conversation. Trying to think of who else I'd put in there. There's some young receivers that, Brandon Ayuk is in the conversation. Nico Collins is coming off a very good year, but he probably needs another year. Jalen Waddle just got paid. Miami's got great receivers. When you talk about duos, top duos, they're in the conversation with the Eagles. DJ Moore, if Caleb Williams ever gets good, look out.
I know they got a nasty roster.
Yeah, because DJ Moore is one of those guys that performs with bad quarterbacks, and when you're that successful with bad quarterbacks, that holds a lot of weight for me. I always talk about guys, special players are special no matter what.
Right.
I got to cover Chris Carter. People remember him here. He turned into a Hall of Famer. There was a stretch there where he just had pedestrian quarterback after pedestrian quarterback and just perform, no matter what. And that's really difficult for receivers because obviously you need somebody to get you the football. So I'm higher on DJ Moore than most. Devontae Adams is a guy who's been firmly. Yeah. And I should have mentioned Devontae Adams. Now, he didn't have a typical Devontae Adams year, but again, that's a disaster, Las Vegas. So he's phenomenal, Devontae Adams.
You think and I still think small step back. He's older now, right? He's got to be, what is he, like 32 now?
Well, I think it's more.
He was probably the best receiver in the league for a good.
You talk about route runners, boy, is he is just. He's 31. I'm just looking him up, but he's still got plenty of. We're talking about a bad season. I had to look it up because I knew it was bad for him, not for normal people. He had 103 receptions for 1,144 yards on that terrible Las Vegas team.
Yeah, and that's that's probably his worst season in the last 5 years.
Oh, easily. I would. That's the guy I forgot. He would be firmly 4 for me. And then you probably talk about AJ, number 5, and I would put him slightly ahead of CeeDee, number 6.
That's pretty
That's
good
how I
ranking
would.
there. Yeah. I could buy that. That's pretty good ranking there. I think maybe at this point of their career, obviously, I think I would take AJ over Devontae, but I do see what you're saying in terms of talent level. Devontae is one of the best receivers really the league has seen in a long time. Very, very talented player, especially when he was in Green Bay, man. He was
Man. And they're all, and Jefferson and Devontae Adams specifically are such good route runners. I mean, it is absurd the separation they create. And that's what I'm talking about, guys coming into the NFL as good route runners. Didn't happen 10, 15 years ago. Now you got guys coming in, they're already finished products. You saw it here with DeVonta Smith. And he's gotten better and better and better. But he was a tremendous route runner the day he arrived. I remember seeing Devontae Adams for the first time. I told the story to Jody. After watching the Eagles struggle at wide receiver for years and years and years, the first time I saw this guy, it's like, oh, yeah, this is different. This is different than every other piece of direct that they were rolling out there.
Right.
And that's, sort of almost every year now, guys come into the NFL. It's changed so dramatically. And you see these 7-on-7 camps that Zach McPherson recently had locally to me in South Jersey, where all these kids, last year I was there and there was a kid named Samaj Beals from Roman Catholic. He weighed about 140 pounds. So you knew he's a high school kid from the physical standpoint. But his arm, it's like, what? He had a better arm than Marcus Mariota, and they're developing these kids so early. And that's all they do. It's like the traveling baseball team.
I know it's a different level now with the modern world. It really has reached a different level.
Yeah. And your school and in Roman Catholic, I don't know. I'm not a big, for those in the Philadelphia area, I don't know. I don't pay that much attention to high school football because I don't have time to pay attention to high school football. And he's not a big time prospect. He's like 3-star or somewhere. And, but I know Alabama, the Sanders school was snipping around him. Was it a Penn State thing? He's not even a top tier prospect. And I'm like wowed by the kid.
Yeah.
I'm like, what is this? 160 pounds soaking wet. I gave him 100. He's probably a little bit back. But, it's kind of amazing how advanced they are now at specific positions, specifically quarterback and wide receiver.
Yeah, shout out to Roman Catholic, right up the street from where I went to high school. I went to St. Joe's Prep, and I was there, John. I was there right between former Eagles now. DeAndre Swift was 1 grade below me. I was 1 above him, and then 1 above me was Alameda Zacchaeus.
So remember all the talk last year? We got to. I see Big Bill jumped in the green room, so we got to get to a break. But remember how excited people were for DeAndre Swift?
I do. I
was St. Joe's Prep. Oh, they want to. They're out, 1 and done. Boom.
Hey, he was a great dude behind the scenes, for what it's worth. I mean, great guy in high school.
Oh, they're both good guys.
Yeah, really good guys.
Yeah.
Daz is giving us crap, Johnny Mac, because we got off on July 4th. This show needs to be.
I always say that. I always say that. That refers to the YouTube 360. We're not on 365. We're off on the weekends. Anytime you want to see Eagle stuff, you go to the YouTube channel.
Yep, there's clips.
It's always there for you. That's what it refers to.
Daz, we appreciate you being here. Appreciate everybody being here, as you mentioned, Johnny Mac. Let's get to our commercial break. Bill Colarulo, Big Bill, coming up next. Stay tuned, everybody. Make sure you drop a like on the show this morning. Let's get up over 100 likes on the live stream already. 135 of you in here on YouTube and another 150 or so on our other social platforms. So we appreciate each and every one of you being here. Drop a like. Stay tuned. Big Bill Colarulo, coming up next on Birds 365.
If you missed any of today's show on the JAKIB Media channel, listen to the podcast on your way home. Available on YouTube, Apple, and Spotify.